Today's great ideological conflict has separated the world into two camps. Since the Cold War began, an iron curtain has descended right through the heart of Europe. One country, Germany, has even been divided into two nations. One belongs to the eastern, the other to the western camp. West Germany has built a strong democracy and experienced a great economic rebirth, while East Germany has become another Soviet satellite state. But one western fortress was placed deeply within the communist territory, Berlin. This city is the only loophole in the Iron Curtain. Free West Berlin belongs politically to the West. But to reach this isolated outpost of freedom, the Western powers have to travel over 100 miles through the hostile and forbidden zone behind the Iron Curtain. Like Germany itself, Berlin has been divided into two parts since the Cold War. In addition, free West Berlin is hermetically sealed off from all its surroundings and completely isolated. A situation like this has never existed before in history. The Iron Curtain holds Berlin tightly in its grip. It has established a border all around West Berlin, and every single street along this border is a dead-end road to nowhere. Street barriers, roadblocks, fences, and barbed wire serve as prison wall for a whole town. No West Berliner is ever allowed to enter East Germany, not even to visit his family. The inhabitants are virtually imprisoned within their part of the city. But the people take all means of communist pressure in stride. The successful resistance they have shown throughout the years has counted greatly in the policies of the great powers. The city itself has been divided into an eastern and a western part. It has two operating municipal governments and two rival currencies. The power, transport, telephone, and sewage system have been split in two. The Iron Curtain has separated over 3 million inhabitants into two hostile camps with policemen and customs officials guarding the city boundaries. This is East Berlin. Compare the desolated streets and the ruins reminding one of chaotic post-war conditions with a busy, happy life in modern West Berlin, and then you know. Berlin is the strategic center of the East-West struggle. As a result of the division, Berlin has lost its importance as a metropolitan city. Because of its favorable location, it had once been Europe's largest railroad junction. It had 8 railway stations with 300 passenger trains going every day to all parts of Europe. Today, only 20 passenger trains during the whole year are leaving West Berlin. Grass and rust still cover the tracks of most of these large railway stations. 20 passenger trains a year for 2.5 million West Berliners. That means that transportation by railway has practically come to a standstill, and a bus station had to be opened for passengers traveling from West Berlin to West Germany. However, the eastern authorities do not allow any stops at all to be made on the way, and all passengers are searched by the East German police. This can often be a dangerous situation. There is only one safe way to enter West Berlin, and that is by air. Travel by air is the gateway to freedom for the endless stream of refugees who are daily escaping the way of life behind the Iron Curtain. And West Berliners will never forget the airlift. At the outbreak of the Cold War, when Russia stopped all traffic through the East Zone, the Western Allies fed and supplied the isolated people for 11 months by air. This incredible operation made the city a symbol of freedom throughout the world. But transport by air is very expensive, and so the freight has to be shipped by other means. Before the isolation, West Berlin obtained its daily supplies from its immediate surroundings where all these goods are produced. Today, the waterways fulfill an important function. Every ton of coal and raw materials, every pound of meat and potatoes, everything needed to heat, feed, and clothe the people has to reach the Berlin outpost by the long route along the river barges coming through East Germany. A new job had to be created by this situation, that of the customs official. Now we have the strange case of German customs men checking their own nation's freight. On duty day and night, they have to search every freighter or truck coming through East Germany. This is why West Berlin, removed from world trade, is called an island in the Red Sea. Be it travel by air, railway, bus, or waterways, any border incident may bring about a new international crisis. Berlin remains the most dangerous powder barrel which the slightest spark may ignite. Divided Berlin has two currencies, East and West money. East Berlin has strict rules. Any West Berliner found in their sector with East mark will be charged with currency treason. But West Berlin tries to ease the situation of its less fortunate compatriots. It has opened so-called Wechselstuben, monetary exchange offices. Here, Ernst and Bernd, two young students, can exchange their East money for West money and buy some of the goods which are not available in the East. However, Ernst and Bernd cannot afford to shop often in West Berlin, since the West mark is worth 4 to 5 times as much as the East mark. At the end of the war, Berlin was a vast field of ruins. There was little hope to rebuild this huge area of devastation, and it seemed easier to evacuate the whole town. But Berliners won the first peacetime battle, the Battle of the Rubbish. In the first years after the war, there was no modern machinery available, and they undertook the gigantic task of clearing millions of tons of rubble with their bare hands. Today, they have erected a monument to the rubble women. Thanks to these women, millions of tons of debris were made usable for reconstruction. Slowly, the stricken city began to live again. The need for housing brought about an enormous building activity, and a new, beautiful modern city is arising. But the battle of rubble continued. Mountains and mountains of rubble were left, even after all the recovered bricks were used for reconstruction, and the problem remained what to do with the unusable debris. Where should the isolated West Berliners transport these heaps of brick? The answer was surprisingly simple. They used them to build mountains. Some took 6 to 10 years to finish, but covered with soil, planted with trees, shrubs, and roses, and equipped with modern swimming pools, this was an unusual but ingenious way to beautify the city and to find more recreation spots for the isolated population. Now, each district of Berlin has such a rubble mountain, and the people take pride that their mountain is the most beautiful one in the city. At the same time they were rebuilding and disposing of the rubble, Berliners had to reconstruct their underground networks. During the war, the subway stations were used as bomb shelters, but by the end of the war, they were completely demolished. At present, all transport within the city is also split in two. But plans for reconstructions are carried out so that the subway system will one day again embrace the whole city, east and west. Today, West Berlin is active and alive again. Its recovery despite war damage the blockade and its perilous position behind the Iron Curtain is remarkable. The newly rebuilt West Berlin has become a continuous source of embarrassment for communist propaganda. The people are used to all forms of pressure and danger, but they're grateful that they've remained free. And they hope that the Berlin Bear, long familiar on the coat of arms of historic Berlin, will one day again be the symbol of a united, free, cosmopolitan city.